One question, sir. What do you think about the critics who are saying Blanche Lincoln is most endangered incumbent this year? What's your reaction to that?
It may be true. I mean, it's a tough state now, but I think the real danger to America is the combination of anger and apathy and amnesia. What the voters need to decide is, what do they want and who's most likely to give it to them in terms of action. People are right to be mad. We're not out of this mess yet. But if you look at the evidence, not just the assertions, the evidence, all the studies that have been done, they say that the actions of the last 2 years have saved the credit system, the banking system, and they're paying the money back. It's already down to costing about 8% of what they originally thought it would. That the stimulus, keep in mind only a third of the stimulus went to create jobs. The rest of it was for tax cuts, allow people to go buy groceries and keep state and local governments afloat. That third has created about 2.5 million jobs. And that if it hadn't been for those two things and low interest rates, we'd have 8 million more unemployed people. Now, so the question is, what are we going to do now? And the people on the other side say what we should do now is to go back to having no oversight over the financial institutions, repeal the student loan program and raise the cost of student loans and subsidize the banks again, which was a mistake. Get rid of health care when we're already spending $1 trillion more than we would spend if we had any other country's health care system, and put the insurance companies back in charge. I don't think they just want to do what they did before. What we really need to do is to go figure out how to get the banks to loan. They got plenty of money now. How to get the corporations to invest their money in creating jobs. They got lots of money now. How to get more investment here from overseas. How to train people for the jobs that are now open. You know, we are now having jobs open at twice the rate they're being filled. This has never happened before in a recession because we cut back in the previous 8 years on skill training. So we can train people for that, and then we got to emphasize small business, manufacturing, and green energy jobs. Those are the areas of growth for us. We do those things, we're going to be fine. And so the real issue in this election should be, in Arkansas and everywhere else, who's most likely to deliver that and to deliver it in a way that helps people. For Senator Lincoln, I think that having somebody, the Agriculture Committee chairman, is not only the leader in agriculture policy, but controls development funds for small towns in rural America. And she has delivered over and over and over again. So I think if she can make it about the issues, what do we need to do, who's most likely to do it, as opposed to anger, apathy, and amnesia, I think she still can win this race. And I'm going to be for her. If she doesn't get but one vote, it'll be mine. So because I think it's the right thing to do. So that's what I feel good about.
Why should people vote for Joyce Elliott rather than Tim Griffin?
Well, for the same reason. Joyce Elliott was a very active legislator in supporting Governor Beebe's economic incentives bills, which I think the Consolidated Incentive Action, maybe it's hard for me to say since I was governor 12 years, maybe the best piece of economic development legislation the state ever passed. We're doing better than most other states. She's proved that she understands that. She was active in promoting the pre-kindergarten bill, which in 2006 was voted the best in the country. Still said we got one of the 10 best in the country. She's got a record of actually doing things for people. She's the only one running that's got a record of really doing things for people, with none of the kind of ethical problems and political abuse of power charges and all those other things that have come out against her opponent. And again, the main thing is he wants to join that group of people that says they will go back and do the things that got us in trouble in the first place. It's not about blaming them for the past, it's about what they want to do tomorrow. So I think, again, she'd be winning if it weren't for general voter anger and apathy on the part of people that aren't going to vote and amnesia. And so our job here is to get out and tell our side of the story. And I've known Joyce Elliott for a long time. She was an active teacher and active in political affairs, promoting education when I was governor. And I have been really impressed with the record she's amassed in the state Senate. And I think we need to send people to Congress who are not ideologues. We need to send people who are practical problem solvers. There are plenty of arguments, room for arguments, conservative, liberal, on how to do certain things, but they're all about how to do it, not about the facts. And we can't afford to major in the minors now. We still got a lot of work to do, And I think she'll do it. You can't go around being defensive. You got to let people have their anger. People feel helpless. They got a right to be mad. But when you make a decision when you're mad, there's about an 80% chance you'll make a mistake, having nothing to do with politics. You just think about your whole life. So what we have to do is to say, focus on these things. What do you want to do? How do you want to do it? Just like the deficit. People say, oh, they're spending too much money. Under normal times, they would be. They're not now because the economy is still in danger of going into contraction all over the world. That's why interest rates are virtually zero. It actually costs us less to finance the deficit today than it did last year or the year before because interest rates keep going down. Now, should we get rid of it? Yes, we should. As soon as economic growth returns, we should get rid of it. And that's why we've got this Deficit Reduction Commission in Washington. The co-chairman, Erskine Bowles, was my chief of staff, a very successful businessman, president of the University of North Carolina, and orchestrated the balanced budget bill that we passed when I was president. So he knows we need to get rid of it, but we need to get rid of it when we've got growth again, so there's people paying some taxes. Right now, you couldn't get rid of it if you tried, and if you cut too much now, when there's no growth, you'll just have fewer taxpayers and the deficit will get bigger. So yes, we should get rid of that. But first thing we got to do is get jobs and business going in the country again. We got to loosen the money in the banks and the corporations, bring in foreign investment, train people to do the jobs that are open, and focus on small business, manufacturing, and green jobs. If we do that, we're going to be fine. And the real issue in every election should be who's most likely to do it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.